I never thought love could feel like a cage until I married Derek. At first, he was charming, attentive, and the kind of man who made you feel like the world revolved around you. But somewhere along the way, that love twisted into something suffocating, something controlling. I guess I should have seen the warning signs earlier. The constant questions about where I was going, who I was talking to, the little comments that sounded innocent but felt like nails scratching against my soul. But I loved him. I wanted to believe in the man I married. I wanted to believe he would never hurt me. Then came the day that shattered everything. I had come home early from work, excited to surprise him with tickets to the concert he had been talking about for weeks. I opened the front door, calling his name. And there he was. Not alone. Her. A woman I had never met before, sitting on our couch like she belonged there. The way she smiled at him, the way he looked back at her, it wasn't just infatuation. It was betrayal. I froze. Emily, Derek said, trying to sound casual, like nothing was wrong. You're home early. I couldn't speak. My heart pounded so loudly, I was sure she could hear it. I didn't know you'd be back. I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. She stood up, brushing past him. Hi. I'm Chloe, she said sweetly, almost too sweetly, with that fake innocence that made my blood boil. Derek smiled. Emily, this is Chloe. We. I didn't hear the rest. I turned and ran out, slamming the door behind me. My hands shook. My chest felt tight, and the world outside seemed both alien and comforting. I drove aimlessly that night, trying to process what I had seen. Derek, the man I loved, the man I trusted with everything, had betrayed me. And worse, he didn't seem ashamed. He didn't seem remorseful. The next few days were a blur. Derek called constantly, texted nonstop, showing up at my office unannounced. Emily, it was a mistake. I love you. I need you. Let's talk. I ignored him. I tried to block him. But he always found a way, through friends, emails, even messages on social media. And that's when the control began. At first, it was subtle. Little comments disguised as concern. Are you sure you should go out tonight? Do you really need to meet your friends? Why didn't you answer my text? Then it escalated. He tried to dictate where I could go, who I could see, what I could wear. He wanted me to cancel plans, leave work early, stay home with him. All of this after cheating on me, after shattering my trust. One night, after he confronted me for talking to a colleague at work, I finally exploded. Derek, you cheated. And now you think you can control my life? My life isn't yours to command. He looked shocked, as if he hadn't expected me to fight back. But that only fueled his anger. Emily, I'm trying to save our marriage. You need to understand. He started. Save. You want to control me. That's not saving. It's destroying everything I am. I shouted. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed at my friend's apartment, trying to figure out what I wanted, what I needed. Because one thing was clear. I couldn't live under his rules anymore. Not after what he had done. Over the next few weeks, I began to notice patterns. How he manipulated situations to make me feel guilty. How he twisted words to make me seem like the problem. I realized something that terrified me. This wasn't just about our marriage. This was about power. Derek wanted power over me. Complete control. And the cheating had been his first step. Testing the boundaries, seeing how much I would tolerate. One afternoon, I decided to confront him, not with anger, but with truth. I wanted him to see that I wasn't a victim anymore. I went to his apartment. He opened the door, a charming smile on his face. Emily, I was hoping you'd come. Let's talk. I stepped inside, heart pounding but my mind sharp. Derek, this has to stop. You can't keep trying to control me. Not after everything. Not after Chloe. He frowned. I'm just trying to make things right. You need me. I laughed bitterly. Make things right? You made things wrong. You broke trust. You cheated. And now you think you have the right to dictate my life. You're insane if you think I'll let you. His eyes narrowed. Emily, don't talk like that. You belong with me. You're mine. I won't let you go. A cold shiver ran down my spine. That word, mine. That's when I knew. He hadn't changed. He hadn't realized that love isn't possession. Love isn't control. Love is freedom. I straightened my back. Derek, listen carefully. I'm done. I'm done with your lies. I'm done with your cheating. And I'm done with your control. This marriage, our marriage, is over. For a moment, I thought he would argue. I thought he might beg. But he didn't. He just stared, stunned, like he couldn't comprehend that the woman he had treated as property was finally taking back her life. And that's when I realized I had the power now, not because of him, not because I had forgiven him, but because I had made a choice. My life, my rules. I turned to leave. And that's when he said it. Emily, you're making a huge mistake. You'll regret this. I stopped. I could feel the tension, the threat behind his words. But this time, I didn't flinch. This time, I didn't look back, because I knew something he didn't. This time, I wasn't afraid. I was ready to make the decision that would change everything. Conflict begins. When Derek told me I would regret leaving him, his words followed me like a shadow. Not because I believed him, but because I finally understood how dangerous he could become when he lost control. The first night after I walked away, I slept with the lights on. My phone buzzed endlessly on the bedside table. Missed calls, long voice notes, text messages swinging wildly between apology and accusation. Derek, I'm sorry. I panicked. Please come back. Derek, you're overreacting. It was just one mistake. Derek, you're destroying our marriage. Derek, you belong with me. Don't make me do something I'll regret. That last message made my hands shake. I didn't reply. Instead, I blocked his number. For a few hours, the silence felt like freedom. Then he found another way. 2 days later, I returned to the house to collect some clothes while I knew he would be at work. I moved quickly, heart pounding, stuffing my suitcase with anything important. Then I heard a sound that made my blood run cold. Keys. The front door unlocked. Emily? Derek's voice echoed through the hallway. I froze. He stepped into the bedroom, his expression shifting from surprise to anger. You blocked me, he said flatly. You shouldn't be here, I replied, forcing calm into my voice. I'm just getting my things. This is still my house, he snapped. You can't just walk out like that. I zipped the suitcase shut. I can. And I did. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. You're acting crazy. Everyone thinks you're overreacting. Everyone. That word hit me harder than his cheating. You told people? I asked. He shrugged. I had to explain why my wife abandoned me. Abandoned him. You cheated on me, I said, my voice breaking. And you're blaming me. He crossed his arms. You drove me to it. You were distant. Always busy. Any man would have done the same. Something inside me snapped. No, I said sharply. Any selfish man would. His jaw tightened. You think you're going to start over? He asked. Who's going to want a woman who couldn't even keep her husband faithful? I stared at him, shocked by how cruel he'd become. That's abuse, I whispered. Do you hear yourself? He smirked. It's reality. I grabbed my suitcase and walked past him, but he grabbed my wrist. Don't walk away when I'm talking to you. I yanked my hand free. Touch me again, and I'll call the police. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across his face. I left without looking back. The control didn't stop there. Within days, I noticed small but terrifying changes in my life. My bank card was declined, my joint account frozen. My health insurance suddenly needed verification. My manager pulled me aside at work. Emily, your husband called, she said carefully. He sounded concerned. Said you've been emotionally unstable lately. I felt sick. He had no right, I said. She nodded. I thought so too, but I needed to check in. That was when I understood. Derek wasn't trying to win me back. He was trying to corner me. If he couldn't control me through love, he would control me through fear. That night, I sat alone in my friend's apartment, staring at divorce lawyer websites. My hands shook as I scrolled. Part of me was terrified. Another part of me felt something new. Anger. Pure, burning anger. I booked a consultation. The lawyer, Ems Ramirez, listened quietly as I told my story. She didn't interrupt. She didn't judge. When I finished, she folded her hands. Emily, what your husband is doing is coercive control, she said. It's abuse. And it often escalates when the abuser feels they're losing power. My chest tightened. So what do I do? You protect yourself, she replied, and you prepare. She advised me to document everything. Screenshots, call logs, emails, witnesses. Because men like your husband don't stop, she said. They double down. She was right. That same evening, Derek sent me an email from a new address. Derek, I spoke to a lawyer today. If you don't come back, I'll make sure you walk away with nothing. Nothing. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. But then, I smiled, because Derek had underestimated me. He thought I was still the woman who cried was the final crack in Derek's perfect image. Betrayal revealed. Chloe's message had been waiting for me like a ticking bomb. I stared at it for what felt like hours before I finally opened it. Chloe. Emily, I can't keep this secret anymore. Derek is married. He's been lying to both of us. You deserve the truth. My hands trembled. My chest tightened. My mind raced. He wasn't just cheating on me. He wasn't just controlling me. He was a liar on a scale I hadn't imagined. I needed to see Chloe. Needed to hear her side, to confirm it wasn't some cruel trick. We met at a small cafe, away from prying eyes. She looked nervous, glancing at the door every few seconds. Her hair was tied back, casual but polished, and her hands fidgeted with her coffee cup. Emily, she said softly when I sat down. I didn't want to believe it either, at first. But when I found his documents, his phone, I realized he's been playing both of us. I didn't say a word. I just stared, trying to hold my shaking hands still. He's married, she continued. Legally. He married some woman 2 years ago. And he's been living with you like nothing happened. Telling me he's single. Telling me he loves me. I felt bile rise in my throat. 4 years. 4 years of my life, invested, believing in him. And he had been lying to me the entire time. Do you have proof? I finally asked, my voice cracking. Chloe slid her phone across the table. Emails. Marriage certificates. Texts. Everything Derek had tried to hide. I scanned through the evidence, each line stabbing me like a knife. And yet, a strange clarity settled over me. The anger wasn't just hot anymore, it was sharp, cold, and calculated. So he's been controlling me. While cheating and lying, I said. It's worse than I thought. Chloe nodded. Emily, he can't win. Not anymore. But you have to be careful. People like him, when they feel cornered, they get dangerous. Dangerous. That word didn't frighten me anymore. It fueled me. I thought about Derek's threats, the messages, the lawyer calls, the intimidation. He believed he had power. He thought I would crumble, that I would beg to come back, terrified of losing him. He was wrong. I needed a plan. Not revenge yet, not recklessness, but a plan to reclaim my life and strip him of the control he thought he had. The next day, I started quietly. Every interaction with Derek became strategic. I recorded calls, saved messages, and documented every attempt he made to manipulate or threaten me. I wasn't just protecting myself. I was building a case. Then came the confrontation. He showed up at my office, his face a mask of faux concern. Emily, I need to talk to you. Please, just 5 minutes. I leaned back in my chair, steeling myself. Talk. He smiled, dangerously calm. I just want to explain everything. You're overreacting. I love you. Chloe. It meant nothing. She doesn't matter. I laughed, bitter. It meant everything. That's the problem. You've been living 2 lives, Derek. And now, it's over. I'm done. His eyes darkened. You think you can just walk away. You belong to me. Belong to you? I echoed. After what you've done? After lying and cheating? No. I belong to myself. And that's the one thing you can't control. He stepped closer, his voice low and threatening. You're making a huge mistake. You'll regret this. Everyone will think you're crazy. I held up my hand. I'm already prepared for that. And you know what? It doesn't matter what anyone thinks. I know the truth. I have proof. And soon, everyone will. Derek froze. For the first time, I saw real fear flash in his eyes. You wouldn't, he whispered. Oh, I will, I said calmly. I've got everything. Chloe has everything. And now, it's time for you to face the consequences. The weeks that followed were tense. Derek tried every trick, messages, calls, appearing outside my apartment. But I remained unshaken. Each time he tried to corner me, I felt stronger, more certain. Then, the final twist came. Chloe called me one afternoon, her voice urgent. Emily, I have something else. Something you need to see before he does. I met her at the same cafe. She slid an envelope across the table. Inside were documents showing Derek had been manipulating financial accounts, transferring money, hiding assets, pretending he didn't have funds while threatening me. You're going to ruin him, Chloe said softly. But be careful. This man. He's dangerous when he knows he's losing control. I looked at the papers, my mind spinning with possibilities. The anger was no longer just heat. It was ice. I could see a path to freedom. A way to take back my life and make Derek face the reality he had tried to hide from everyone. Then I remembered the words he had said when I walked away that first night. You'll regret this. I smiled. Yes, he would. But he had no idea what was coming. Because I wasn't just walking away anymore. I was preparing a move that would stun him completely. And it was all going to start at the one place he thought he still had power. The office. The one place where Derek believed he owned the world. Where everyone still looked at him as successful, untouchable. It was time to change that. And Derek had no idea that the storm I was about to unleash would leave him speechless, powerless, and finally exposed. Turning point. I spent the next few days planning. Every phone call, every email, every message Derek had sent me was meticulously documented. I created a file, a timeline of his lies, manipulations, and betrayals. Chloe continued to provide evidence, including screenshots of his financial tricks and messages where he boasted about controlling us both. It was overwhelming, but also empowering. For the first time in months, I felt like I had the upper hand. Friday morning, I arrived at Derek's office under the guise of wanting to talk things over. My heart didn't race with fear anymore. It was steady, focused. I knew what I had to do. Derek looked up as I walked in, his expression a mix of arrogance and suspicion. Emily, I didn't expect you today. Sit. I smiled faintly and leaned back in the chair opposite him. Derek, we need to discuss our finances and your lies. He raised an eyebrow. Lies. Emily, you've been emotional. Let's not. I cut him off. I'm done listening to excuses. You cheated. You lied. You tried to control my life after betraying me. And now, everyone is going to see the truth. His face hardened. What are you talking about? I leaned forward and opened my laptop, letting him catch a glimpse of the folder labeled evidence on the screen. His eyes widened. You wouldn't dare, he muttered. I would, I said calmly. And I will. You've underestimated me for too long, Derek. You thought fear and control could keep me in line. You were wrong. Completely wrong. He stood abruptly, pacing. Emily, don't. You don't understand what you're doing. I can ruin you. You know that. I can make life impossible for you. I didn't flinch. I had expected this. I leaned closer. Try. Because I have Chloe, the lawyer, and all the proof. If you threaten me or try to control me again, I'll expose everything. Your affairs, your manipulations, your lies about finances. Everything. People will know who you really are. Derek's face flushed red. His jaw tightened. You wouldn't dare. I opened the first folder, letting the files display on the screen. Screenshots of messages, emails, photographs, financial transfers. His smirk faded with every piece of evidence I revealed. Do you remember when you told me I drove you to cheat? I asked quietly. Do you remember blaming me for your lies? Do you remember every word you used to manipulate me? He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Now, I said, leaning back, I'm taking back control. Not just of my life, but of you. And I'm going to make sure everyone who matters sees the truth. You're not untouchable anymore. Derek's hands shook slightly. I hadn't expected him to look so small, but I had to stay cautious. People like him were unpredictable when cornered. You can't do this, he finally said, voice low and threatening. I already have, I said. Over the next few hours, I methodically went through each step. Chloe coordinated with the lawyer to notify authorities about his financial manipulations. I sent secure copies of our documented conversations and evidence to my lawyer, ensuring a legal buffer against any retaliation. By late afternoon, Derek realized he wasn't in control. Every attempt to intimidate me, to guilt me, to frighten me failed. And I could see it. He was panicking, grasping at straws, desperate to regain the power he thought he still had. And then came the final confrontation. He cornered me in the office parking lot as I prepared to leave. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows, turning his figure almost menacing. You think you won? He growled. You're ruining everything. Your life, my life. Think about what you're doing. I stopped, meeting his gaze. I have won, Derek, because I'm free. I'm done being afraid. And soon, everyone will see the real you. He stepped closer, his voice trembling. You'll regret this. Mark my words, you'll regret it. I smiled, cold and firm. No, Derek. You're the one who's going to regret underestimating me. And the truth will leave you stunned. Stunned that the woman you tried to control is the one who finally outsmarted you. He lunged at me, reckless and furious. But I sidestepped calmly, letting him stumble past. I didn't need to fight him physically. I had already won, his arrogance, climax plus resolution. Derek's message stayed on my screen like a final threat from a man who had already lost the war. If you touch a single piece of my life, you'll regret it. Forever. I didn't reply. For the first time since I married him, I wasn't reacting to his fear tactics. I was acting. By Monday morning, everything was in motion. My lawyer filed the official divorce paperwork along with evidence of coercive control, financial manipulation, and emotional abuse. Chloe submitted her statement, along with proof of Derek's lies and fraudulent transfers. What Derek didn't know was that two of his business partners, men he trusted, had already contacted authorities after being tipped off. The dominoes were falling, and Derek was standing right in the middle. The collapse started publicly. That afternoon, Derek was called into an emergency meeting at his office. He assumed it was damage control. He assumed he could talk his way out, charm his way through, threaten if needed. But when he walked into the boardroom, he froze. Legal representatives, financial auditors, two investors, and one very familiar face. Me. You. He whispered. What are you doing here? I stood calmly, confident. Ending this, I said. The lead auditor slid documents across the table. MR. Derek Lawson, we've uncovered unauthorized transfers, falsified records, and deliberate misinformation provided to investors. Derek's face drained of color. This is a misunderstanding, he stammered. My wife, my ex, she's unstable. She's trying to destroy me. I leaned forward. No, Derek. You destroyed yourself. I just stopped protecting you. Chloe entered the room moments later and placed her statement on the table. Derek looked at her like he'd seen a ghost. You said you loved me, she said quietly. You said you were single. Silence. For the first time, Derek had no one to manipulate, no one to intimidate, no one to blame. By the end of the meeting, his accounts were frozen, his position suspended pending investigation, his power reduced to nothing more than a shaking man in a tailored suit. As security escorted him out, he turned toward me, eyes wild. You planned this, he hissed. You ruined me. I met his gaze without fear. No, Derek. I freed myself. What happened to you was just consequences. The divorce was finalized faster than I expected, because Derek had nothing left to fight with. No money, no leverage, no lies that still worked. The judge reviewed the evidence carefully. The messages, the threats, the control. When it was over, the words echoed in my ears. Divorce granted. Full separation approved. I walked out of that courtroom lighter than I had felt in years. Weeks later, I heard what became of him. His reputation was destroyed. Business deals evaporated. Friends distanced themselves. The man who once tried to control every move of my life now struggled to control his own. One evening, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Emily. I'm sorry. I lost everything. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. No response. No closure for him. That was his punishment. Chloe and I met one last time for coffee. You're stronger than you think, she said. You saved yourself. I smiled. So did you. We weren't friends forever. We didn't need to be. But we had shared a moment that changed both our lives. And we walked away from it wiser. Months passed. I moved into a new apartment filled with light. I rebuilt friendships Derek had tried to isolate me from. I started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to heal properly. And slowly, I learned something powerful. Love doesn't demand obedience. Love doesn't thrive on fear. Love never tries to control. One afternoon, as I sat by the window watching the city move forward, I thought about the woman I used to be, the one who apologized too much, the one who stayed too long, the one who thought love meant enduring pain. I barely recognized her, because the woman sitting there now, she knew her worth, she knew her power, and she would never give it away again. Derek tried to control my life after cheating on me. He thought betrayal would break me. He thought fear would keep me silent. But my final decision, it didn't just leave him stunned. It left him exposed, and me, finally free.